Welcome back to the booth. Brian David Marshall here with Ian Duke at Pro Tour Dragons of Tarkir. We've got another, it's so weird. You go to the Pro Tour and just the feature match area is just chock full of amazing players. Vigersma versus Sittner. Vigersma, Hall of Famer. Matignon versus Oliver Ruel. Olivier Ruel, he's also a Hall of Famer. Chapin holding on to the King of the Hill seat as a Hall of Famer versus Martin Dang, the GP champion. And starting off with Josh Utter-Leyton versus Gaudenis Vidugiris. The players are ready. Let's set it down to the floor.
Should be a great match.
See what they've got in store for us. Hello and welcome to round 2 here at Pro Tour Dragons of Tarkir in Brussels, Belgium. I'm Brian David Marshall. I'm joined by R&D member Ian Duke, and we are about to watch Josh Utter-Leyton. He of 5 Pro Tour top 8s in just in under 30 attempts.
Yeah, so, just an amazingly skilled player.
Yeah, amazing career. Debuted in 2008 at Pro Tour Hollywood, and there you see Gaudenis Vidugiris. He's got 2 Pro Tour top 8s. Both players have made it as far as the finals of a Pro Tour. Both players still looking for their first Pro Tour victory. So, and we're underway with a Plains from Gaudenis Vidugiris and a Mountain from Josh Utter-Leyton. White-Green, we see Gaudenis Vidugiris.
Yeah, Gaudenis really embracing the Dromoka clan strategy here with a lot of +1/+1 counter synergies in his white-green deck. Josh Utter-Leyton, on the other hand, playing a Kolaghan red-black deck, chock full of removal spells and just high card quality.
And the 2 tapped mana, the hallmark of a dashed Reckless Imp on turn 2.
That's right.
So Bathing Dragonfire takes down Salt Road Quartermasters, one of the premium 3-drops in this limited format. Comes down as a 3/3, and then in the late game can move those counters around.
Yeah, just having a 3/3 on turn 3 in a format defined by Megamorphs is just really powerful here.
Circle of Elders. Yeah, the turn 4 play.
Yep.
A kind of a very land-heavy hand for Gaudenis, who had mulliganed. Take a look. You see he's still got 2 lands in his hand, and he's holding a Herd Chaser Dragon.
Circle of Elders should buy him some time, though. Just a 2/4 Vigilance body matches up really well against what most of the black and red creatures can do.
And then the weird ability of being able to produce mana if you have 8 power.
Yeah.
It seems so taunting sometimes.
Well, a lot of the formidable creatures have strong activated abilities once you have 8 total power, so it can help pay for those.
So Josh Utter-Leyton decides he's ready to commit the Reckless Imp to the board.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't want to have to pay that 2 mana tax every turn. And he's got a Sprinting Warbrute and a Gurmag Angler sort of lurking in the wings here.
Gaudenis picks up Einok Artillerist here.
So yeah, 4/1, and then if it gets a counter, it has reach. But
it's a little bit unfortunate because I think Josh Utter-Leyton was planning on playing a Sprinting Warbrute this turn, 5/4 with dash.
Yeah.
But the Artillerist matches up really well against that, unfortunately. So rather than dash it in and try to hit for some damage, he just decides to hardcast it.
It's like, maybe I'll block. I don't know.
And that, since the Warbrute has to attack each turn of Fable, I wonder if that indicates that Josh Utter-Leyton has a removal spell for the 4/1 blocker.
He is holding a Sarkhan's Rage, so.
Okay, probably not his A plan to have to spend that on a 4/1, but if it means he keeps his 5/4 attacker alive turn after turn, it might be worth it here. We'll see how things play out.
So now we see a morph. We know that's the Herd Chaser Dragon. Yeah, and now that's also formidable. So now he's got a little extra mana that Circle of Elders can make.
Yeah, so notably, he doesn't have quite enough mana to turn it face up.
Not this turn.
Yeah.
But it gets him to the 7 mana he needs to turn it face up next turn.
Right.
And still lets him maybe do something else.
So in come Josh Utter-Leyton's attackers here.
He also is holding an Enduring Victory. So
So the natural block here is the artillerist as a 4/1 on
Yep.
Josh Utter-Leyton's 5/4 attacker. It's pretty painful for Utter-Leyton to just allow this trade to happen, but I think it's worth holding on to his removal spell. I mean, Sargon's Rage dealing 5 damage can just be saved for a much more threatening card.
And there is the Gurmag Angler. A fine target for an enduring victory, by the way.
That's true. So interestingly, Gaudenis could attack with his Circle of Elders here. He could attack with any of his creatures into the Gurmag Angler, but that would be pretty loudly telegraphing that he has Enduring Victory, or at least some sort of combat trick or pump spell. So it'll be interesting to see, like, psychologically, does he just go for the extra damage here, or does he try to protect the information of having that Enduring Victory in his hand? It looks like he does come in with his, at least his Megamorph here. I can't tell, because the Circle of Elders has Vigilance, I can't tell if he attacked with that as well. Didn't see his hand motions there. But it'd be interesting if he attacked with just the Megamorph, because that sort of says, hey, I could have anything here.
Right.
It doesn't necessarily telegraph having a spell in hand. So that might be a middle ground where he's like, I'm going to sneak in the 2 damage without necessarily giving you a lot of information. And that just a testament to how interesting Morph and Megamorph play as a mechanic, that you can do all these different sorts of bluffing tricks.
Sounds like Olivier Ruel, by the way, is playing mono green on one of the back tables and has used a wild call to single-handedly turn on his Formidable with an 8/8 manifest creature. So here comes the Enduring Victory.
Wow, so
Takes the-
really interesting there. So Gaudenis attacks with his Megamorph, indicating that he probably has a large Megamorph creature he can turn face up. Josh Utter-Leyton sort of takes the bait there and blocking with his 5/5, and it turns out that although the Megamorph wasn't powerful enough to defeat the 5/5, Enduring Victory in hand was.
A little bit expensive on the Enduring Victory for what you're hoping for, I think, in Limited sometimes, but gets the job done and gives you a little bonus as well. You just dash in Ambuscade Shaman and
So I think this settles the reasoning why Josh Utter-Leyton decided to block with the Gurmag Angler last turn, is that he assumed Gaudenis had a morph that he could turn face up to defeat the 5/5 in combat, but he's actually happy with Gaudenis spending the mana there if that was the case, because he knew on his next turn, which is this turn, he would dash in several creatures and get in a lot of damage.
so he dashed in the Ambuscade Shaman and the Alesha's Vanguard. So that's 9 damage right there. Because you get both of those get +2 from the Ambuscade Shamans.
Yeah, Ambuscade Shaman, a really powerful card we were talking about earlier, BDM. This is sort of like the lord for your dash deck, as it were. Just coming through with massive damage this turn.
And the Circle of Elders is like, do I just absorb 5 damage here? Yep. So just speed bumps 5 damage. The Shaman gets in for 4. The Imp gets in for 2. And Josh picks up his creatures to repeat this cycle again next turn. Again, he's only got to get Gaudenis down to 5, because he could also then just finish him off with the Sarkhan's Rage.
So unfortunate for Gaudenis to lose the Circle of Elders there, because now that makes turning Herd Chaser Dragon face up really costly in terms of his mana expenditure.
Well, it doesn't even have the 7 mana.
He does,
mana to
right?
do
He
it.
doesn't even have the 7 mana. Even if he did, it would cost him an entire turn to do that. So.
So he plays Formless Nurturing. Looks like his Formless Nurturing is a mana source since the Whisper of the Wild. Oh, he played the Whisper of the Wilds. His Manifest is a Plains. So, and he is empty-handed.
So with 2 3/3 blockers and a 0/2 blocker, he could threaten to double block the Ambuscade Shaman, but he's still taking a lot of damage in the process. I think
Somehow the impossible's happened on one of the back tables. An elite scale guard has lost. Yelga Vigishma up 1-0 over Alex Sittner. Okay, here comes the Ambuscade Shaman. Here comes the Vanguard. Just swing with everybody.
Yeah, just hammering in turn after turn with these dash creatures. The Ambuscade Shaman, of course, giving each of the dashed creatures +2/+2 until end of turn.
Right, gives itself +2/+2, which is not, if you cast it, hard cast it, not very interesting. But if you dash it in, it's a 4/4 haste creature. So double block, takes down the Ambuscade Shaman. Chump block on the Vanguard. Gaudenis is at 6 after the attack from the Imp. And he lost his dragon as well there. So Josh chose to put the Morph ahead of the Manifest, which is the correct play when he double blocked. And here comes the Vanguard. It's going to trade with the 3/3. And Gaudenis is going to fall to 4. And yeah, Josh says go.
So Gaudenis really under time pressure to find a flying blocker or removal spell here.
He plays Obscuring Aether.
Obscuring Aether, yeah.
Yeah, that card's been kind of sweet. Pretty surprising how it works. It lets you morph cheaper, but you could also just activate it and turn it into a attacker on turn 2. Play it on turn 1, attack on turn 2. Yeah, Gaudenis doesn't even get to see the Sarkhan's Rage that was sitting in Josh's hand. He's like, well, no need to show this off. I've got this under control with my Imp. So, all right, we got a little quick message for you, and then we'll be right back with more feature match action.
Hunt bigger game by playing in a Grand Prix. These open tournaments feature the best players in your region as well as top Magic pros. Upcoming Grand Prix include Kyoto, Krakow, Sao Paulo, Toronto, Atlantic City, Paris, Florence, and Shanghai. Visit magic.wizards.com/Grand Prix for a complete schedule. Standard is the name of the game at Dragons of Tarkir Game Day. Put what you've learned from watching the Pro Tour into action on April 18th and 19th at your local game store. Visit magic.wizards.com/game day for more information.
Hello, welcome back to the feature match area. I'm Brian David Marshall. I'm joined by Ian Duke, and we are going to take a look at what a mono green deck looks like in Dragons of Tarkir draft. Olivier Ruel just playing forests. He's got 18 of them, and he's just got green creatures. His deck is incredibly formidable.
Whereas Guillaume Matignon's sort of playing the classic blue-black exploit archetype here.
Once again, playing the same deck as Guillaume Wafatapa.
That's right.
We saw him last round.
We've got sort of enemy colors facing off here.
That's a Frontier Siege in play.
Looks
A couple
to be
of
on
those
a
Dragon
cons
Scarred
mode.
Bears.
Matignon pondering his turn here. Looks to be a little bit on the back foot in terms of life totals, but still has some cards in hand. His deck is chock full of removal spells.
Taking a look at Avatar of the Resolute is the other creature on the table. But like you see 2 Bowmasters, 3 Dragon Scarred Bears, 2 Sandstep Scavengers, all in Olivier Ruel's deck.
And interestingly, Matignon pushing the attack here with a flying Jin Monk and a face down morph. Probably indicating that he's sitting on removal spell or a potent blocker. I think I may have seen a Reach of Shadows in his hand, but it's a little hard to tell. So putting Ruel to the test if he wants to block the morph here or not.
You 7 mana. There's almost no morph you want to block here with the Avatar.
Right. The question is, he may want Matignon to spend his mana on his own turn, which could clear the way, depending on what he has in his hand for a pretty safe attack on the next turn.
Oh, and Olivier has no cards in hand here.
Avatar of the Resolute using its reach to block the Jin Monk token.
Then Silumgar's Butcher comes down. Just exploits itself to take down one of the Dragon's Guard bears. So,
Yeah, and that was the card I thought might have been a reach from Shadows, so I was mistaken earlier. So
yeah, he did have a Reach of Shadows in his graveyard, so he had
Yeah.
cast one the previous turn. And then,
Bell Toll Dragon.
there we go. 7 mana, Unmorph our Dragon, attack for 4. So taps 1 mana, uses 2 mana from the Frontier Siege to play a Morph. Olivier's down to 5. Gurmag Drowner and Beltoll Dragon in play for Guillaume. Sounds like Patrick Chapin is down a game at the King of the Hill table against Grand Prix champion Martin Dang. Martin playing a very aggressive red-white deck. Okay, Olivier here falls to 1.
Matignon sort of fearlessly keeping up the pressure here. But notably, he is at 8 life, so it's conceivable that with the right draw, Ruel could surprise him.
Well, you got to be worried about a press the advantage. You got Unmorph here.
Yep.
Play press the advantage. Play. Any number of other pump spells. But it looks like another Silumgar Butcher. He exploits it again, just sacrificing. He'd rather keep the 4 toughness up with the Gurmag Drowner, I guess, respecting trample. And there is Assault Road Ambushers. So that gets a counter, and then anytime a creature's turned face up for the rest of the game, which will not be a very long span of time, that creature would get 2 +1/+1 counters. So we're underway. You can see the action on table 1 has already picked up. Gaudenis started this game off with a mulligan. So, and then has led off with a Dromoka Dunecaster, a Whisperer of the Wilds.
Looks like double Whisper of the Wilds.
Yeah, double Whisperer of the Wilds. Okay.
So lots of mana production for Gaudenis, but being down a card means that investing in creatures that only produce mana, he's going to run out of steam pretty quickly here, but let's see what he can ramp up to.
Oh. Is that a Temur War Shaman? Oh my gosh. Well, that got out of hand very quickly.
Yeah, certainly one of the better 6-drops to play on turn 4.
Yeah, this got out of hand very quickly. He's ferocious, he's formidable, he's got everything going on. And so, a couple of Scream Reach brawlers for Josh Utter-Leyton to try to figure out a way to deal with this monstrosity. Just kind of hoping that he didn't actually manifest a creature, but we know that it actually is a ward scale dragon.
Oh. So Gaudenis unfortunately stuck on only 1 white mana despite having lots of green mana access with the ferocious Whisperers of the Wild. So he won't be able to turn up that ward scale dragon just yet.
And he plays another morph. Or I should say another face down creature, which in this case is a morph.
With Dromoka Dunecaster standing ready to tap down some ground-based blockers. Looks like Gaudenis is in pretty good shape to keep up an assault here.
Yeah, so it's a Shield Hide Dragon is the morph in play. So double dragons face down for Gaudenis Vidugiris, but he still needs that second white source if he wants to flip either of them up. So he's in pretty good shape here, though, with Tread Upon to back up on his Team of War Shaman.
Josh Utter-Leyton sitting with Twin Bolt and Bathe in Dragonfire in hand, I believe.
Yeah, and a Reckless Imp.
Just debating how he wants to spend his removal spells, if at all, this turn. He, of course, doesn't know that those face-down creatures are dragons. Otherwise, I'm sure he'd be pretty eager to take them out before Gaudenis hits his second plains.
So, dashes in a Reckless Imp. The Dunecaster taps down one of the Scream Reach Berserkers. And it sounds like...
Here comes Bathe in
Yeah.
Dragonfire.
And he aims it at the Morph, not the Manifest.
Yeah, and again, you'll see players usually opting to take out Morphs over Manifest just because there's a strong chance the Manifest isn't even a creature underneath.
Right. Better than 50% that it's not a creature, right? Generally.
And with Megamorph rather than Morph in the format, those face-down creatures are even more dangerous in the late game when they can finally be turned up with a +1/+1 counter. Here's the second plains for Gaudenis, so this means he can turn his Ward Scale Dragon, I think is the Manifest. Is that right? And we'll see if he opts to do that during his main phase to get in some extra damage, or maybe keep that as a surprise. But I think his board is strong enough that he just wants to get in the damage, and yeah, sure enough, he goes for it.
Flips it, gets a fight effect ability off of the War Shaman, and gets in.
Oh, that's right. I had forgotten about the fight ability of the War Shaman. Super powerful there.
So the Ward Scale Dragon just easily eats the Scream Reach Berserk. And I'm not quite sure the Reckless Imp is going to be enough for Josh Utter-Leyton here.
Yeah. That's like the dream Temur War Shaman, isn't it? Turn 4, Temur War Shaman, manifest a dragon, then turn that face up and kill your opponent's creature.
So attack from Josh Utter-Leyton.
Yeah, I like how Josh just continues to stay aggressive here, knowing that if he's going to win this game, it's going to involve him just getting in damage wherever he can.
Wow, look at that. So Tail Slash. He's playing a Slash theme deck.
Tail Slash Wild Slash, is it? Or Twin Bolt Wild Slash?
Oh, is it? Oh, it's Twin Bolt.
I think
Wild?
it's a Twin Bolt, yeah.
I thought he pointed to his. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to get a game 3 here. Gaudenis Vidugiris on a mulligan to 6 on the play. Manages to go Whisper of the Wilds into Temur War Shaman. We're going to take a look, I think, right now at Jelger Wiegersma versus Alex Sittner. Alex Sittner is someone who's been playing probably about 25 Pro Tours at this point. I think this is his 26th. Still looking for his first Pro Tour top 8, a couple of Grand Prix top 8s. You may have, if the name sounds familiar to you, playing against Pro Tour Hall of Famer Jelger Wiegersma, who is coming off of a Pro Tour top 8 at Pro Tour Fate Reforged, where he was playing Splinter Twin. And blue-black, we see, is a color combination favored by many Hall of Famers and Pro Tour champions so far this in the early going.
That's right, and Sittner playing blue-green himself.
So there's an Updraft Elemental, there's a Morph, and then looks like that's an Avon Surveyor and a Gurmag Drowner there. Starting off at a couple of, Glade Watchers,
Glade Watchers,
and
yep.
River Prowler. Wow. 4th edition German basic lands, for those of you wondering. Pretty sweet looking. Okay, right into being.
So it looks like we have a board state of each player sort of trading 2 damage back and forth. The Meringue River Prowler on Sittner's side, versus the Avon Surveyor on Yelger's side, with the Updraft and Elemental sort of holding the fort against those Glade Watchers.
Yeah. So right into being Anamorph that turn for Sittner. Oh, but Yelger Vigishma at 2.
Oh, so now that we
As
have
we get the life totals updated, we see that that Meringue River Prowler was doing his job very effectively. All right, so we are ready to go back to our main table. And it doesn't sound like we have any mulligans to start off here, so we're able to go right into the action, and it's a Typhoid Rats for Josh Utter-Leyton. Typhoid Rats, Scream Reach Berserker, get in for 3 on turn 2. You can look at Gaudenis Vidugiris' career. 7 GP top 8s, handful of wins, 2 Pro Tour top 8s. Still looking for a win there.
Is that a Lightwalker?
That's, yeah, Lightwalker.
Okay. I was going to say, normally Typhoid Rats is a great early card against a green-white deck, especially one that wants to load up its creatures with +1/+1 counters, but if those +1/+1 counters go on the Lightwalker, then Gaudenis is going to take to the skies and fly right over the rats.
I love Lightwalker.
Yeah.
So. Turn 3, not a Sandcrafter Mage, Caster Mage. Excellent. Plays a Morph. So that's a segmented Crotek that is face down for Gaudenis Vidugiris. And now he plays a Alesha's Vanguard for the full cost. Just says, I don't want to dash this. I'm just going to play it. And it looks like he's got a handful of swamps going on right now. And see a pretty premium card in Gaudenis' hand in Secure the Wastes.
Yeah, I think what we'll see him try to do is set up a Whisperer of the Wilds into a later game Secure the Wastes for just tons of tokens, which is frankly really hard for a red-black deck to deal with.
Right, they're really looking to go 1-for-1 on their removal spells, and you put 6 or 7 tokens into play, things get out of hand pretty quickly.
Right, or even if the game turns into a race, which is what Josh's deck tends to like to do, you have just tons of jump blockers.
You see, lands are at a premium for Gaudenis. He's got 1 more in hand, but after that he's got a whole suite of spells. He also has an Assault formation.
Yeah, I was just wondering about that, actually.
That's pretty exciting with Secure the Wastes, too.
Yep. Even lets his Whisperers hit for 2.
So, in for 5 comes Josh Utter-Leyton.
The Scream Reach Brawler.
Yeah, double block on the Scream Reach Brawler, puts Lightwalker and a Morph in front.
So Gaudenis not afraid to double block here, even if Josh has a removal spell. Gaudenis has Tread Upon to pump up the remaining creature and guarantee a kill.
And doesn't use the Tread Upon there. Says, I don't want to get blown out here. If he has a removal spell in response to my pump, I'd rather just trade this card for his card. So, there's land number 5. And a Formless Nurturing.
We'll find out what that is for you in just a moment. In the meantime, Gaudenis continuing to ramp up his mana production.
It's a forest, by the way.
Okay.
And now he will play Assault Formation.
So Gaudenis looking to be in really good shape here. He's got plenty of mana, but he also has plenty to do with it between the Secure the Wastes and the Assault Formation. Actually, those two cards combine really well together. An end-of-turn Secure the Wastes can let him untap and then pump up the toughness of his team with the Assault Formation, which then lets them deal more damage.
Yeah, it just trades the Formless Nurturing creature for the Alesha Vanguard, and lands continue to flow for Josh Utter-Leyton.
And you can see Gaudenis perfectly happy to continue trading here because he knows he has that powerful late game combo of Secure the Waste plus Assault Formation, which frankly it would just be really hard for Josh's deck to deal with unless Josh can outright kill Gaudenis quickly.
How ironic, Lightwalker attacks for 1 there.
Getting debuffed by the Assault Formation, so to speak.
So it sounds like we have 2 matches going to game 3. Chapin and Dang is tied up at a game apiece, and Matignon and Ruel is tied up at a game apiece. End of turn.
Here it comes.
So he makes 6 tokens. And as you said, he can activate those. He can activate his assault formation twice.
If they don't arrive by the end of the turn, I'm sorry, just don't get them.
They're waiting for tokens, and Josh's like, it's okay, I get it. I see where this is going. So, and he attacks with everything. There you go. 6 soldiers. They are 1/1s, but they could be as big as 1/3s here. And 1/3s would be the same as being 3/3s, with the assault formation giving you the sort of one-sided Doran ability. Blocks the Lightwalker with the Typhoid Rats.
Daring Gaudenis to go ahead and activate the Assault Formation, which I think you will. I certainly can't think of many or any cards in the format that would punish him for just moving in.
Okay, so he does 1 pump. So he's going to get in for 12 with those 6 tokens.
That could have been up to 18 damage, but with Josh Utter-Leyton at 19 life, it's not enough to win
Oh,
the
he could have
game
attacked with
either
the
way.
Whisperer too. The Whisperer would
It's
have been
true.
is a 2-power creature at this point.
But I think
And he casts another. He casts another O2, the Dromoka, Dromoka Doomcaster.
yeah,
There you go. But Josh Utter-Leyton had more lands than Gaudenis Vidugiris had tokens, and
Next turn I can like try to double block with the manifest.
yeah, it's a combination of a poor draw for Josh Utter-Leyton and a particularly strong combination for Gaudenis.
I feel like going to 1 makes
But definitely a convincing victory in that 3rd game.
okay. See the cameraman moving over, and we are going to come back to
good luck in the rest. Yeah, go ahead.
Jelger Vigesma versus Alex Sittner. There we see a Monastery Siege.
Yep, in cons mode, letting
set
him
on
loot
con.
each turn.
Yeah, that's pretty much the best. I feel like that's the best that card has to offer.
And the hero of last game, the Meringue River Prowler, again doing his work.
Not the
chipping
Glade
in
Watcher.
for 2 each turn.
There you see the Monastery Siege.
Monastery Siege, quietly a really hard card to beat if it comes down on turn 3. I mean, it may not seem like a lot on the surface, but just having that card selection every turn of the game.
Yeah,
Really,
and
really
also
powerful.
if you I mean, obviously not going to happen as much in blue-green, but if you're playing a deck with, a bunch of like Gurmag Anglers and things like that, you also get to stock your graveyard.
Great point.
Sittner has a Gurmag Angler to deal with across the table from Jelger Vigesma. And an Ojutai Summons, which is going to be bouncing back at the beginning of the next turn.
Is that a Vial of Dragonfire in play for Sittner?
It is a Vial of Dragonfire. See a Vulture Savin also for Jelger Vigesma. I'm very jealous. Jealous every time someone has a Vulture Savin and has been able to draw 2 cards with it. That's what I would like to be doing all the time in Magic.
So while Sittner has the Monastery Siege in play, giving him a strong late game, looks like Jelger is really taking control of the board pretty quickly here and is beating down with huge Gurmag Angler and soon to be a couple Djinn Monks.
And the
Sittner-
Shambling Goblin just also going to say, threatening to make things a little difficult on the board. There's a
Oh, that's right.
Stampeding Elk Herd.
Yeah, so notably, Sittner can't really attack into that Shambling Goblin because it'll take out his Meringue River Prowler, which, he can get the Prowler back, but it's just he's constricted on mana right now and has plenty of cards in his hand, so he really can't afford to lose the time of recasting that. He'll just fall too far behind in the race. So Jelger adding a second Djinn Monk to the board and just presenting a really strong
Yeah.
attack here.
Just swing for 9.
Looks to me like the previous turns of the game, Sittner was a little bit constricted on mana here.
Yeah. Sure. So it looks like Sitna traded his elk herd for the angler, but the Jin infestation is coming. So another Ojutai summons for Yelger Vigersma. Gets his third Jin token.
And Sittner at 4 life has to take out one of these Jin, 2 of these Jin tokens actually just to survive. And sure enough, he can't.
And that was game 3. Yelger Vigersma wins the match. 2 games to 1 on the back of Ojutai summons. Card I know you really like quite a bit in this draft format.
Yeah, it's 5 mana. It's a little bit slow, but it is one of the stronger 5 drops, I think. So happy to fill out my curve with that.
So now we're going to check in on a couple of champions. Pro Tour champion Patrick Chapin versus Grand Prix Liverpool champion Martin Dang. The Wandering Tomb Shell is doing some yeoman's work here against the very aggressive red-white deck from Martin Dang. And it looks like, is that an Elite Scale Guard in play? It is. Just cast.
Elite Scale Guard, of course, one of the strongest uncommons from Fate Reforged.
It would also be one of the strongest rares from Fate Reforged if
Yeah.
it was a rare.
Just a brutally efficient card.
So, Harsh Sustenance.
This looks to be in response to the
Yeah,
bolster
yes.
trigger.
So, forces the bolster onto onto the Dragon Hunter, and now he's able to stymie that wandering the Tomb Shell. Was hoping it was a dragon, but it is not. Martin takes 1, goes to 20. Ooh, it sounds like Olivier Ruel has sided into green-blue against Matignon. So here is Enduring Victory. And that is, gets his Tomb Shell. It's not that often that you get to bolster onto a 6 toughness creature.
That's true.
But when it's the only one, you definitely get to do that. So now it is a 2/7.
So notably...
And the Scale Guard is gone.
Right. Yeah, notably Chapin decided to destroy the Scale Guard rather than the larger Dragon Slayer.
Right.
Just to remove that ability of tapping a creature whenever a creature with +1/+1 counter on it attacks.
So Sibsig, sort of a motley crew that Chapin has assembled here. See the Sibsig host now. There's 2/6, mill both players. But those motley, much more toughness than power creatures sometimes can really just bog the board down and let you get to your powerful cards.
Yeah, really hard for a red-white deck to punch through. I mean, short of cards like Pacifism or Silk Wrap or something along those lines. The red-white creatures are just too small to push through the high toughness.
Student of Ojutai for Patrick Chapin after he got in with the Sibsig host. He's looking to recoup some of that life. You can find a couple spells here.
Yeah, Student of Ojutai, deceptively powerful card, can really help a control deck pull back into the game here and put itself out of reach.
So this time the host blocks. And there is a Hooded Assassin to punish him. And I don't believe that Hooded Assassin was in Patrick's hand last turn. Did block last turn, blocks this turn.
That's the best, when you run the sort of bluff attack and they call you and block, and then the next turn you draw the card that makes it so you blow them out the next time they block.
And a tail slash in response.
So Martin Dang doing what he can to battle against these high toughness creatures, but it looks like Patrick Chapin's clawing his way back into the game.
I mean, the thing is, things are not as close as they might seem for Martin Dang. I'm going to show you. I mean, as close as they might seem for Chapin, I'm going to show you Martin's hand right now.
Oh. So Dang with 9 points of burn in his hand, and now we understand fully why he used the tail slash to take out that student of Ojutai, which could have gained Patrick Chapin some life. So Dang, just 1 damage off from lethal.
Yeah, and that's a life gained from a gain land for Patrick Chapin. Oh, foul renewal.
Yep.
What is he gonna get back? Foul renewal, you get -X to a creature, where X is the casting cost of the returned creature. Return it to your hand, and it looks like he returned a Marsh Hulk. And gets in with everybody.
So, wow, a dash creature off the top for Dang could help him get that 1 damage in that he needs. Do we have an idea of what Chapin has in his hand right now?
He's got a Swamp and a Marsh Hulk.
Okay, so he's going to go ahead and play the Marsh Hulk face down, just, again, to protect
So does
against something
Dang
like a
have
dash
to-
creature. Can't quite see that draw for Dang.
Strong Arm Monk.
Aha.
Yeah, there you go. Chapin just attacks with everything. The 1/2, the Morph, which we know is a Marsh Hulk, the Sibsig Host.
And now, unfortunately,
and the
Dang
Tombshell.
in a position where he needs to block.
Yeah.
As much as he'd like to keep that creature on the battlefield and threaten lethal in a few short turns, unfortunately, it's a little bit too late for that.
Yeah. Chapin's going to spend the mana. Flip up the Marsh Hulk. And Martin Dang extends the hand. Patrick Chapin goes to 2-0 and maintains control of the King of the Hill table. He will be playing in the feature match area for the last round of this draft pod. You know, and Patrick Chapin, who has such an impressive record of standard on the Pro Tour, you know, anytime he can come out of a draft 3-0,
Oh, yeah.
you know, going into constructed, that's an incredible place for Chapin to be. It's obviously an incredible place for anybody to be, but, you know, someone whose strength is constructed.
So here we see Olivier Ruel actually siding in blue mana into his otherwise mono green deck.
Yeah. And then Einok Guide sort of staring down a Silumgar Butcher. A Sidici's Faithful just came down as a, basically came down as a Kraken Hatchling last turn.
With Guillaume Matignon at just 2 life.
So there's a Dragon Scarred Bear.
So these players playing the game of who can sort of get lucky and draw more creatures than the other, to the point where Olivier might be able to just attack through and get the last 2 points of damage in.
What's the creature? I can't see it through the glare of that last. There's a glint. The creature on the right of Guillaume Matignon's board. It's a Wandering Tombshell. There we go.
We've seen this Wandering Tombshell do quite a bit of work.
Yeah, for 4 mana you get 6 toughness, and it just it really is a frustrating thing to get around. It's like when someone's in the express lane ahead of you and they've got 12 items. You know, you're like, oh, come on.
Real with a frustrated grunt there. Just sort of 1 step behind.
Wow, this is a huge wild call.
Yep, it's going to be big. So I wonder if he has any flyers to hit now that he has blue mana in his deck.
I'll tap the last 2 mana too.
So this is an interesting development because the game is definitely coming down to the final few turns. Olivier Ruel adding this huge wild called Manifest to the battlefield means he can start attacking in and making Matignon chump block each turn, but Ruel himself is already down to 7 life, so both players on precariously low life totals, and with Ruel having fewer creatures, it's it's a little bit dangerous for him to attack. Although I think that is his path to victory, so we'll likely see this huge manifest just cracking in turn after turn, hoping to put Matt Yon into chump block mode and eventually overpowering his creature set.
Here it comes.
But against a blue-black deck, you know, there could be removal spells, there could be bounce spells involved.
Okay, so the Shambling Goblin blocks. Another Rune-Scarred Dragon comes... Rune-Scarred... Dragon-Scarred Bear comes down. That looks like...
Defeat, yeah.
Defeat, yeah. Defeat takes out the Einok Guide.
So as soon as Olivier Ruel has more creatures in play than Guillaume Matignon, he can threaten a lethal attack with just a single 2-power creature getting through is enough to end the game. So it's sort of a race against time for Guillaume Matignon to find a removal spell. But with Ruel adding another creature now, even if Matignon has a single removal spell or bounce spell,
He anticipates. He
would
really
deal with
needs
that.
a Crux of Fate
Yeah.
right now.
adds a Jeskai Sage to the battlefield. Another chump blocker that could do some cycling. So we'll see if Olivier Ruel is brave enough to just send in everything he has here. And I think he probably will. I mean, even with a single removal spell or bounce spell, it's still going to be...
Yep,
yeah,
and that is the
really
game. Olivier Ruel advances to 2-0. We haven't seen him at the Pro Tour in a while, but he's getting his Pro Tour off to a 2-0 start. He'll be fighting to win his table next round. There you hear the two old friends talking a little bit in
Yep.
French as they. He's like, "Yeah, I think that was French for yeah, I drew a lot of land, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure." Yeah, there was all French there. French player, French judge. Everything was
Very cool.
everything was French here in Belgium. So yeah, so Olivier Ruel, Hall of Famer, 2-0. Patrick Chapin, the Hall of Famer, 2-0. We saw Gaudenis Vidugiris take down Josh Utter-Leyton, and we saw Hall of Famer Jelger Wiegersma defeat Alex Sittner.
Yeah, a bunch of great matches that round.
Yeah, and a lot of great players. Speaking of great people, we're going to send it back to Rich Hagon at the news desk.
I am going to owe him so much money for that link. Thanks, BDM. You're lovely. Now, let me bring you some results from around the floor. I want to start with Jacob Wilson of Canada. You saw him draft. You saw him win his first round. And I can tell you that he has also won his second round. He was up against Dan Blunt of England playing in his first Pro Tour. Blunt falls to 1-1. And Wilson now is 2-0. Next up, what about Atsushi Nakamura? Famous surname, not so much famous first name. Nakamura is still playing against his New Zealand opponent. There you see Jacob Wilson's numbers for you, but Nakamura and Little still playing. What about William Jensen, the Hall of Famer? So he lost his first round to Jacob Wilson. There you see the storied Hall of Famer from 2013. He won his third round match. That was against Ivan Jaya of the United States. And what about Stefan Berrios? He was playing up against Andrew Calderon, and Stefan Berrios, there you see 38 lifetime pro points to his name, looking for his first Pro Tour top 8. He is at 2-0. 1-1 to Andrew Calderon. So we are going to go straight to the video wall. I can tell you that we have waiting for us Marshall Sutcliffe, and it's time to go inside the draft with Hall of Famer William Jensen.